understand you've got in touch because you want to find out a little bit more about
India in 2010.
Okay.
And I had extremely bad tummy problems, and I had to go into hospital for a week.
you put the wrong fuels into your body, or you drink or smoke or do things that are unhealthy. Sort of image. And we can count the little early follicles that are sitting in the ovaries.
I know that I definitely want a family. I've always wanted a family. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I feel fairly comfortable about having a family by myself. So even if I don't meet someone, I would still like to go through the process. I think for a lot of people out there, having their eggs frozen is quite an opaque process. There's not a lot of information out there, and it's not particularly clear, and obviously it's something that's happening in the future, so you can put it off on the day-to-day, knowing that it's not going to directly impact things today. But now, as I've got older, I'm obviously 36, it's becoming a bit more of a reality, and I know that my eggs production is going down. Check that's empty.
In 2021, that was over 4,000, which has increased year on year out. Egg freezing only became really popular, I would say, in sort of 2000, mid-2000s onwards, because the technology to freeze the eggs became a lot more successful. When water freezes, it produces ice, and if an ice crystal, it might damage the egg. So the process is withdrawing the water from the cell, add in what we call a cryoprotectant, which protects the embryo during the freezing process, and then it's stored in liquid nitrogen. And when we used to do it in a very slow way, but now this new method called vitrification is very quick and very rapid, and eggs respond a lot better to that. So the survival rates are really good with eggs now when they've undergone this process.
The stress of doing things like that can be kind of quite underestimated by people, and that becomes a little bit more sort of likely, and the probability of abnormal eggs goes up from 37.
Okay.
So it's not a sort of linear relationship. So actually, in your 20s and 30s, it goes along sort of gradually drifting up. But as you go on from 37, that goes up much more steeply. This is really, really relevant to the chances of it being successful, because as your eggs, if you freeze your eggs when you're much older, you are giving yourself a chance, but of course, the chances that you're freezing normal eggs has gone down. In a good clinic, you should be seeing upwards of 80, closer to 90% survival of eggs when they're warmed and used in an IVF cycle. For example, here at the Evewell, it's between 90 to 95%. So that is not where most clinics would have been 10 years ago, for example. I think alongside the fact that technology's changed, we're also seeing this huge sort of explosion in social media, and the conversation around these things is different. The generation today are far more happy, open-minded, liberal, however you want to describe it.
Oh, it's really stuck.
When I first started this sort of over 10 years ago, we were seeing the odd person coming in to talk about egg freezing, and it wasn't such a successful technology, to now seeing a few people each week coming in, and they're also not only more people coming in to talk about it, but they're also much younger.
Fertility treatment isn't often funded by public healthcare systems across the world. And what that means is, whilst being a patient, you're also a consumer. And it's really very difficult because not many people are used to finding private healthcare, knowing how much they should pay, understanding what the important points are around their experience. And so they can often really be left in the dark trying to navigate this problem. And so that's why we set up Fertility Mapper. It's to support people at that moment when they know they need help, but they don't really know where to go. You start to get to a certain age where you start to feel some of that pressure to make decisions. And so it's a great thing that there is increasing awareness. I think it's really important for people to be able to plan, but we also need to make sure that we are careful about the kind of information that's put out into places that people can access it.
If you do it when you're older, let's say you do it when you're 40, because you have less healthy eggs, you probably need to freeze more.
Someone like me.
At 36, you're sort of in that middle age group, yeah.
How long do eggs last?
You can freeze them for up to 55 years. It used
55 years?
It used to be 10 years,
Okay.
and then
I don't know any women who have had their eggs frozen and then have had a child. I think one of the things about this process is no one really likes to talk about it. It's still a bit of a taboo. You know, it's not something that you're talking about at dinner parties or lunches or breakfasts.